Hi everybody, so just back to complete the tutorial on our My Courier user portal or client portal. So I've in previous videos explained how to use the new drop down and all the functions within it. In this video I'm just going to run through the rest of the know-how that you need to know for our client portal. So in your operations drop down, you've got the options of viewing all the records that you have made in your databases up until the date that you are currently on. So you can go to your quotes and view all the quotes for a certain date range by changing your from date and your to date fields and clicking on refresh. This will bring up a grid which will show all the quotes that have been done in that date frame. You can date back as far as you'd like and refresh to view more, but I don't think in this demo company we've done a lot of quotes. But yeah, so this should, in theory, if you've got for the day of the 1st of the 3rd, there should be quotes visible in this grid should you have done any quotes at that time. So in this grid you'll see all the column headings of date, customer, delivery, your service that was selected, the amount of pieces, the mass that you've sent, then your excluding and including values, as well as your Weibull number that it was converted to. So you can disable some of the columns should some of the columns interfere with your reporting, or just making it a little bit easier to read. So you can remove some of the headings or some of the columns by choosing the column visibility. You can also see more rows should there be more than 50 records in your grid. You'll see there's only 2 at this stage, but if it spills over into more pages, because you've got more records than is visible for 10 rows, so you've got 50 records but there's only 10 visible at this stage, you can change that to 50 rows being visible at a time, as well as to show all. For high volume customers, the show all is a very neat function because it will show you all the records that you've done for that time frame. Please just note that if you do a large date range, so a data heavy report, the show all might take very long to load, as it has to run through a lot of records to add to the grid for you. So please try and use the show all record function well sparingly, if I can put it that way, as it will be a data heavy and a timiest report to pull should you have thousands of records that run in this grid. I'm just going to keep it on 50 rows for now, but this is the general function that you've got in this grid view, and you've got the grid view for quotes, collections and deliveries, etc. They all work in the same function. It is just the columns that differ. You can also extract your data to an Excel format should you wish to. So there you will see that you've got those records exactly as they're on the grid, but now in Excel format. Let's just run back to our portal. So just to continue, I'm going to move on to the collection screen, which works in exactly the same function, or exactly the same way. You can change your date range, click on refresh. It will then show all your collections. As you can see, it's just the column headings that differ. You'll see there are multiple columns that do remain in the screen. So you'll always have your customer name. You'll always have a function or a column for your delivery numbers. You can sort by column headings by clicking on the headings. I forgot to mention that in the previous grid. So should you wish to sort them by date range, you can have them by date. You can do them by company name or collection name, origins. So either of them, or either of the headings will sort via that heading if you click on it. You'll also be able to pull these into PDF reports. So if you click on your print PDF, it will bring up the collection page for you, should you require to. And once again, you can change the amount of rows that you view for that date range. Can extract it to Excel, just as we did with the quotes. Exactly the same is valid for your deliveries. You can refresh the deliveries column. You see there are a few more columns in this report, but it does have the extra columns of the delivery date and time, as well as the person who signed for the parcel, just to show you that the parcel has been delivered at that time by voter. So that's basically your delivery report and your collections and your quotes in a nutshell. Again, your load sheet's the same. Exactly the same is true for this report. You can backdate and it'll show you all the load sheets that have been created for that date, or for that date range, etc. So the other functions you will not be using unless you're a very high volume client. So these are just to speed up their processes, or clients that do pretty much more than 100 deliveries a day. They will use these functions just to speed up their courier service with us. So the shop orders is a function that will become available to you should you use a e-commerce plugin, as mentioned in a previous video. So this is basically like Shopify. It's when you do, or the customers order on your website. This will allow you to complete these orders that have been paid for on your end into a Waybill, rather than having to capture everything from scratch. So that will be your shop orders, and as mentioned, the rest you will only use should you be a high-end or a high-volume customer, and that will then be explained in I won't say a video. I think we will prefer to give some training on these functions, either via a remote session with TeamViewer or AnyDesk, or we will send out a representative to actually explain these functions for you, as they are a little bit more intricate than just that can be explained in a video, if I can put it in that way. Alright, so let's move on to the images drop down. Your images drop down is basically where you will find your PODs of your deliveries. So you'll see I have actually added a image to this this drop down for today, just to show you that this is what it'll look like once you open up the POD on your side once we've scanned it. So this is a digital copy that was done via a mobile device. As I do not have a scanner to actually physically scan in the POD, the hard copy, but this will be the same view that you would have or once the delivery has been scanned on our side. So this will all be visible once you look this POD up in your images screen. So you can again search for this record or for a specific record in this grid by typing the Waybill number in the search field. So I'm just going to show you that if I do type something in, it does change the grid. You'll see this number was not found, as it isn't a valid delivery number. And that is basically it for your images. So that's your images tab. So now let's move on to the finances tab. Finances tab is just basically a tab where you can view invoices and extract them into Excel as well, should you require to do so. You can backdate as far as you'd like. I don't think there will be any invoices for this client, as it's a demo company, and no records were done and payments have not been made, seeing as we don't do actual transactions on these accounts. But you will have those invoices visible should you have been invoiced by my courier. They will be in PDF and Excel format for you to download. Your uninvoiced deliveries under the finance tab will basically give you a rundown of deliveries that have been done for a certain date range. So this is from the 1st of the 4th to the 8th. You can backdate again to any date that you wish, but at this stage there are only these 4 records that have been done. So this is the only uninvoiced deliveries that are present on the database. So you'll see this gives you a value of what will be invoiced for these deliveries once the invoice run is run. So should you want to do a forecast of what your courier costing will be for the end of the month, this is a very nice way of doing so. And you can also prevent account queries should you see that this looks like a very high amount for the delivery, and that you can't think that this delivery would cost that much to be sent, you can query this beforehand so that we don't have to do all the investigations and pass credits, which could cause some timeous events while invoicing the customers. So you can query this before it gets invoiced and avoid the entire process of having to receive or request a credit from our accounts department. That's it for the finances tab. For now, I'm going to skip the reports tab, as the KPI report is still a function that's being developed. I will do a separate video on that once it has been completed. So we can move on to the global drop-down, which is your addresses. This is basically your reoccurring customers will be saved in this grid, and should you should they change their address and you would like to edit their data on here, you can search for their record in this grid and edit the address in order for you to actually have it pre-populate correctly and not having to edit it every time that you send the parcel to them. So we can now change, say they've moved to number 1 in this not H Street address, and we save, and we will see, we can just have that as 001, save, and you will see that that has updated from 51 to number 1. So that is it for our client portal videos, and I thank you for listening in and following the training as provided. Keep well and speak to you guys soon. Bye bye.